Hello, welcome back to Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching. This is Erin. So this podcast today, kind of just jumping right into it, I wanted to talk about coffee. And I want to talk about my experience of letting go of it and the positive impact it's having on my life. So a lot of people who listen to this podcast know that I am certified in cell response therapy underneath Tim Goyette. And that has been life-changing. Those formulas are amazing and life-giving. And if you haven't, if you're like, what is that? Like, I'm just tuning in. If you search Tim Goyette, I'm the only person that's done multiple podcasts with him or any podcast. You can learn about his work and the nutrition that's not in our soil anymore that are in his formulas and just so you know, I have never sold a passive income product ever. And the reason I decided to work with Tim and kind of become a practitioner is because I tried it myself and I felt a huge difference as far as my hormones being regulated, my period going from 8 days to 3 days, like my skin clearing up, starting to get carded at the grocery store. So that was stuff that I couldn't ignore. And, you know, having a good diet and everything can only take you so far, especially when our soil is depleted. But, so anyways, I fought so hard to keep coffee in my life. I was drinking this stuff. It is called Life Boost that I heard from a client who was also arguing with me who did not want to give up coffee. And at that time I was like, all right, I'm a tea girl, right? Like karate hot tea. And I miss coffee. I really did. Coffee is like a fucking drug. I mean, it really is. It's such a widely accepted drug. And until you get away from it, you don't realize how much it affects you. So anyways, I just came back from a trip in California. And also I'm recording not in my studio, I'm recording in my yoga studio. So if you hear that, hopefully it didn't distract you too much. So coffee. So I was away from it for over a week. And what I did was instead I was having tea, Earl Grey tea. I love it. I have this kind with lavender. It's so yummy. And then my friend had this stuff called mud water, which I am not like a representative for it, but I started having that rather than coffee. And before that point, I was starting to like deal with a lot of anxiety. And it like an unprecedented amount of anxiety. And I thought, oh, it's from the move. We have a hurricane coming. But what it really came down to was my nervous system was like, wah! I don't know about you, but when I drink coffee, it's like my nervous system is like, holy shit, everything's on fire and I need to do everything yesterday. And my brain is already like that a lot of the times. Like my brain's already like, all right, you're sitting around. You've been sitting around for 5 minutes. You should be doing something. You should be producing. And that is, you know, my work. That's my inner work, which I chip away at. So it's like coffee makes it so much worse. The reason I would go to it is because in the morning I would be feeling tired and I would want that boost. And it's kind of like my ex had a shirt. It was like, drink coffee, get shit done. And that was kind of the mindset, right? Like be productive, like get some coffee in you, like let's go. And what I started noticing is when I went back on coffee, my formulas weren't working as well, which I don't like that. I want to walk my walk and talk my talk. That's what I do on this podcast with my yogic lifestyle. That's what I try to do in like all aspects of my life. I try to be authentic. And so I noticed that my formulas weren't working as well. And I was like, man, like maybe this was all a dream. Like maybe it was like make-em-ups, which I know it's not because I have photo proof and like I feel better in a lot of ways, but my formulas weren't as effective. So I was like, and there's only maybe three things. One, alcohol. If you drink alcohol, formulas are not good. Two, drink coffee. What happens, and just in case you don't know, I'll educate you. When you drink coffee, it's such a hit of acid and your body has a certain pH. It's just slightly alkaline if you're lucky. So slightly alkaline, so in the 7s. And when you drink coffee, it really is super acidic. And so besides affecting your stomach lining, what happens is when that acid comes into your body, what does your body do? It pulls minerals from wherever they're readily available to neutralize that acid so that you don't die. So your adrenals kind of go on overdrive, like, holy crap, right? Cortisol shoots up, okay? And besides that, your body is super acidic, and then it pulls alkalizing minerals from your teeth, from your bones, or in my case, from my formulas, from my blood before they got absorbed into my cells. So considering all that, anxiety, and then my sleep was starting to get shitty again. The formulas had really helped me to regulate my sleep. I had like the best sleep I've had in 10 years on these formulas. And then it was like, they went bye-bye. So I really had to sit with myself, and it's helpful to be around other people that aren't drinking coffee, and then you can kind of like talk. It's almost like a support group. And I was around my friend Fun and Jared, and we were talking about like, yeah, coffee is great sometimes, but I notice when I drink it, I can't sleep and I feel anxious. And it's sort of like reminders, you know, because it's so easy. It's everywhere. I mean, there's a Starbucks like right around the corner. And I would find that when I would drink coffee, it would hurt my body. Like I wouldn't feel any more energized. I would just feel anxious. And then my joints would ache. They would ache so much. So considering all of that, I was like, okay, well, I want to find a way to get off of this. So I started drinking a lot of tea. Now, I am a tea connoisseur. Like I love different kinds of tea. Earl Grey is my jam. And this is like less about the caffeine. I'm not quite ready to give up caffeine, though I'm drinking significantly less. But making tea into a ritual helped me to slow down. And that was 100% my friends in California. They have like a little tea bar that they have set up in their house. They have like so many different kinds of teas, which Fawn and I both share that affinity. She's a little bit more into the ceremonial aspect of it. So I'd watch her like prepare her tea, and she has this special ceremonial green tea, which I accidentally used a bunch of. And she was like so upset. She's like, hey, that green tea you use is like $40 for a little tiny tin. She's like, just use a tiny bit. But anyway, she like whisks it and, you know, like says a prayer over it and then drinks it. And so I thought, I want my life to be more of a ceremony in that way. I don't want to hurt my body. I'm on this path of really loving and accepting my body in many different ways. I'm really focusing on like how I eat, not like what I eat, but how I eat as far as mindfulness, and trying to connect with what's best for me. And also it's like when my nervous system is too rattled, like as far as connecting to the spiritual aspect of me and like the energetics, it's much harder because again, my nervous system is so stimulated. So, you know, with all these reasons why, you know, when I sat down, I'm like, you know, man, it's not really working for me. And it's like, I'm always cautious of things that are so socially accepted, but are like so devastatingly like difficult for our bodies to process. So I decided to give it up. I'm about a week and a half in. And I notice I feel this sort of like hum of peace throughout the day. Now, again, I'm a yogi. I do yoga. I practice meditation. I meditated this morning. So that certainly attributes. It's not just like I stopped drinking coffee and my life is magical. Well, no, but it certainly helps. And like I said, I'm still having caffeine. Maybe I can, you know, start to wean off of that if it feels right for my body. But if you are drinking coffee every day and you're dealing with anxiety and your joints hurt and your stomach hurts and like your bowel movements are like unpredictable and your period's all over the place if you're a man or a woman, you know, if you have these different symptoms, like looking at the possibilities as far as why that might be, and maybe if coffee is something that you drink regularly, maybe it's something that you just take a hard look at and just see if it's serving you or if it's not serving you. So I hope that this podcast is helpful. I've been recording slightly shorter podcasts slightly shorter, about half the time I usually do, because I want to check in more often with you. So anyways, I love you. If you're listening to this, thank you so much. Thank you for your support. If you have been affected by the hurricane, like, so much love to you. I am volunteering and donating my yoga class I'm about to go teach. I'm donating all the proceeds to the community cooperative in Fort Myers. I just feel so fortunate and wanting to give back to my community. So if you are listening to this and you're not in the Florida area and you want to give back, the community cooperative, you can look them up. They have a Facebook page, they have a website. You can easily donate to help our brothers and sisters from Southern Florida. All right, I think that's it. I have a few more spots in my Costa Rica yoga teacher training. I have 5 more spots. I have 6 more spots in my life coach training in January. And I have a bunch of spots in my in-house yoga teacher training starting in February of next year. If you're curious about any of those, reach out to me, talk to me. I'll talk you into it. All right. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the podcast and if it's helping you, please consider writing a review. You can go to iTunes or Google Play, go into the search bar and type in Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching, scroll down, and you can leave a review. This helps other people to find me as well as bumps us up in the search ratings. Also, this podcast is sponsor-free, so that means we don't receive anything for doing it. If you feel so inclined and this podcast is helping to support you and you want to return the favor and help to support any production costs of the podcast, feel free to give a donation to a Venmo link, Thrive Yoga Fit, or PayPal, Erin@erincoach.com. If you don't have the means, don't worry about it. We're not going anywhere. You're all good. But if you would like to give back, you can give back in those ways. Last thing, we have a coaching certification coming up. And it's 7 days of an intensive work, followed by a 3-month mentorship. You will not find another teacher that's more passionate and dedicated than I am to my students and their learning. And not just their learning, but the application and how they show up in their life. If you've been listening to this podcast and it's had a huge impact on your life, just imagine what it would be like to spend 7 intensive days with me and then a 3-month mentorship. You can check that out at thriveyogafit.com/coach-certification. Again, thriveyogafit.com/coach-certification. Thank you so much. Namaste.